What's up, unretirees? Art Johnson here. Are you a person like me, an unretiree who really cares about climate change, and taking some meaningful climate action? Well, if you are, and if you're thinking like me, looking as an entrepreneur, looking at challenges as opportunities in disguise, then hang around because I got something for you. So, this is about climate entrepreneurship for unretirees. Here we go. So, we're talking about climate entrepreneurship for unretirees. And this is a real challenge, climate change challenge. We're now way beyond denial. I mean, it's been taking decades for people to realize and to see the actual impact of climate change on our lives. There's been a lot of research about greenhouse gas sources, where they come from. And 25% has to do with electricity production. Food, agriculture, and land use account for 24%. Industry accounts for 21%. Transportation accounts for 14%. And buildings account for 6%. Now, just think of those two. If you combine them, that's a total of 20%. What happens if you start to have virtual architecture and you actually have ways to just get there and get back just by logging on and logging off? Talk about that. And then there's another 10% that comes from burn off, methane, and all that stuff. And the problems we're having navigating our unretired lives has to do with the risk of a mass six extinction of species life on our planet. And on top of that, I mean, for decades, my family and I have been dealing with racism, discrimination by race. There's also discrimination by sex, both men, women, binary, non binary. There's also discrimination by age, young and old. There are also some technological challenges, there are mental health challenges, there are physical health challenges, there are political and economic challenges. Wow, we're in the middle of possibly a whole lot of violence, social unrest, and potential war. World War III, possibly, even with what our current administration is threatening the world with. And there's the whole environmental species life extinction challenges. And there are the learning and information challenges, which I want to just put there because that's actually an opportunity. All of these are opportunities in disguise. As the climate clock counts down, whether or not people recognize it, whether or not they're even talking about it, it's still ticking down. And I'm particularly concerned as my life clock ticks down as an unretiree that wants to leave behind a legacy for generations to come, my children, my grandchildren, and other people. And but I'm looking at this as a entrepreneurial climate learning opportunity that we could, by working differently and living differently with a different mindset, we can reduce electricity production in terms of coal. We can do it by solar and wind and other ways, even nuclear, uh, food, agriculture, land route. There are new ways to think that. And there are people working on each one of these in industry, transportation, buildings, and the other 10%. And I realized, over time, I launched my business, New World Communications, way back when in 1997, when I moved from a public television distance learning service project manager to being an entrepreneur myself with this new company to seize a whole new world of income of communications and learning. And I now realize it's become potentially a big reach virtual enterprise. Everything that I do primarily is in the cloud. And it's potentially really learning rich. And now it's AI assistant, even. That's my Imani Jones over here. If you visit my website, by the way, you can have her welcome you and introduce you to some of my backstory. And I realized this is really interesting that my company is near zero carbon footprint relatively compared to physical world enterprises that have massive buildings and have the costs of transportation back and forth to them. And it's authentically diverse. It's authentically equity creating. And it's all inclusive, and it also even has new virtual avatar assistants. I would just mention my Imani Jones. I have my CEO Dave also there. You can check out, and it's all inclusive, meaning that it's not just inclusive of minorities, but of women, of men. It's all inclusive. It includes everybody in its suite of services, and they're uniquely powerful. And we realize that it's becoming right on time. And we've been growing with the times, with the changes, and courageously, going through them. And since way back, since way when Google first launched, we've been kind of followers of Google, and we used Google Apps, and we realized that after losing some of our files with older things, email and overthink file management that had apps that you had to load on your computer, and if your computer's drive quit, you were up a creek. And we've actually had now domain name Gmail. We have a Google Workplace account. That's the new name, not Google Apps anymore, but Google Workplace. We're using Docs. We are. This is actually a Google slideshow that we're doing in Zoom. Sheets, which is like this is like spreadsheets. Meet, which is like virtual conferencing. Forms, which is like a forms database that you can do surveys with. Google Sites. My whole website is built on Google Sites. And Drive, which is a big repository that holds all the apps in the cloud. So even if tomorrow my computer goes wonka, I have access to this in the cloud. And then on top of that, I learned that I have Google Classroom, and I'm proposing a master course called Navigating Your Unretired Life. And I invite you to check with me. Watch this to the end so you can communicate with me and we can follow up about this. This will be an introductory 8-week course that is going to really introduce you and give you kind of a crash course in how to get started with this stuff. And then on top of that, Gemini AI is something that I've just recently that was added to the Google Workspace, and they even had education for me as an educator, as a learner, as a facilitator of the course to start using this to help my course. And wow, is this valuable? And so I went ahead and decided to become certified as a Google AI professional. Here's my certificate. And the certificate has 7 courses. AI fundamentals, that's about how to prompt, how to talk to AI and get what you need and as part of a collaborative conversation. AI brainstorming and planning. Wow. There's a research tool called Notebook LM that I've been using. It's like a powerful virtual research assistant that can help me brainstorm and plan. And there's AI for research and insights. That's what's been helping me do this. I'm going to talk about this. So watch to the end. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I suggest that you make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out. You do not want to miss out. I want to take everybody I can along with me on this really great and joyful, powerful journey. AI for aid for writing and communicating. If you've seen this in email, I said, "Would you like me to refine this for you?" Sometimes I need to have that done. And AI for content creation. Wow, it'll even make videos for you and help you write and even script and storyboard things. AI for data analysis. There's massive data. How could I get through this without having some assistance? And this is great for data analysis and even AI for app building. I actually learned how to build an app, a decision making app, and the decision making app was a practical one. Should I offer my first course for free, or should I charge the rate, a regular rate for it? And it said, no, if you don't have a big audience, then offer it for free. And then when you scale up, you can offer the paid version later on as you have more people saying this is really worth it, worth the money. And I got it for free. So anyway, then I really started to realize I started to ask Google, ask Gemini AI about, could you give me some research based on um, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? And this is a good way if you're at that place in your life where you're figuring out, well, what next for me? What's my passion? What are my proficiencies? How could how can I use this knowledge gainfully in terms of some of the choices that I can make? And I realized that climate change for me is a great choice. It's so challenging, but it's all inclusive. If you really think about how every area of people's lives is being impacted by climate change, all races, all genders, everywhere across the whole planet. So it's a great way to kind of bring some things together and solve some of the issues on my mind. And because climate change is all inclusive, climate action can be all inclusive. It's not all inclusive yet. You see different tribes of people, just the academics are kind of over here doing their things. Just the community folks are doing this thing, but we need to really cross it. I'm a bridging person, in races and I have just this whole thing of my heart is and head is just having bring us all together. We can't afford to fight any longer. And this is a whole new horizon for climate entrepreneurship for unretirees. Now, where did that title come from? That's why we're going to talk about this because this is really amazing here. And this is the name of an actual document that is the outcome of a collaborative, interactive AI assisted project that got started, working with Gemini AI. And I'm going to just take the time to show you this. Is an actual article that was written by Gemini AI. And it came up with the title based on what I had given it. It said, wow, you've got a whole new green horizon called Climate Entrepreneurship for Unretirees. And I'm going to go ahead and read this. It said, integrating climate change and climate action into a hierarchy of needs acknowledges that a sustainable environment is a prerequisite for fulfilling all other human requirements. For retirees who return to the workforce or launch new ventures, the complex obstacles posed by environmental shifts represent significant climate act opportunities to leverage their experience, institutional knowledge, and entrepreneurial drive. Based on the sources, several climate challenges can be reimagined as entrepreneurial opportunities for this demographic. And he just goes right into it. The transition to net zero and climate mitigation. Primary global challenge is driving a rapid transition to a net zero economy. The opportunity. Retirees with an entrepreneurial mindset, often called retirepreneurs, it's really interesting, can launch businesses focused on green technology and innovation because working retirees are 3 times more likely to be self employed. That's me. Then pre-retirees, they are well positioned to lead startups that provide sustainable products or services. Wow. He says now, then he goes into climate adaptation and resilience. As physical climate impacts increase, there is an urgent need for adaptation and resilience strategies for communities and infrastructure. So here's the opportunity. The challenge provides a platform for encore careers, second careers in entirely new fields. And retirees can serve as consultants for greening countries, regions, and cities using their decades of professional experience to help local governments or businesses navigate environmental risks. Wow, that sounds like me. And then there's resource efficiency and the circular economy. Managing the world's resources more effectively is a critical environmental necessity. The opportunity here is there is a significant market for ventures centered on the circular economy. Retirees, particularly those identified as caring contributors who seek to give back to their communities, can establish social enterprises focused on recycling, upcycling, and resource sharing models. Wow, this is so cool. And then their financing climate solutions. A major bottleneck in climate action is securing the necessary finance and investment to meet global goals. I'm actually working with a nonprofit that's really doing some very important work. They're doing a whole climate boot camp, and I'm going to be helping them raise funds to finance that and have some really great ways to do that. So the opportunity here is we do for us on retirees from the financial sector, where age discrimination is reported to be significantly lower than in other industries, can find opportunities and unlocking investment for climate solutions. They can act as angel investors, financial advisors for green funds, or founders of fintech platforms dedicated to sustainable investment. So if you really look at our demographic, half of us have a lot of money, but more than 49% don't have enough money to do that. But those two can work together. One can invest and see a return on the investment. The other can actually, invest their time and resources to actually build enterprises that can be very gainful and really help the planet. But we need to do that. To do that, we need to bridge the green skills gap. And that's what I have the advantage of that. I've been doing working with these cloud-based applications ever since 1997 when I was actually working with broadcast public television. Now I'm fast forwarding that to now the YouTube and all these other applications here. So the move towards a green economy requires new expertise, yet many older workers face a skills mismatch. The opportunity here is while two-thirds of mature workers have not obtained new skills in the last 3 years, those who do reskill can find high fulfillment roles as mentors or trainers. That's me as a trainer. I have a friend who's also mentoring youth. By retooling during a career intermission, in and retirees can become entrepreneurial educators who train the younger workforce in sustainable business practices and green technologies, as well as people in our own that need to come up to speed quickly here. Why unretirees are ideally suited? There's motivation beyond money. While some unretired to meet financial needs, many are driven by personal fulfillment and a desire to remain mentally active. Climate action offers a deep sense of purpose that aligns with those non financial goals. And there is entrepreneurial spirit. 82% of retirepreneurs start businesses to work on their own terms. Addressing climate challenges allows them to solve global problems while maintaining the flexibility and life balance they desire in their later years. I'm working from home. That's a virtual background behind me. I'm in my own virtual office. I have little doggies beside me. I can walk the dog. I love working at home. I love connecting with people across the planet and building relationships with people that I've never met in the physical world yet, but I've met them online over Zoom and other platforms here. And so this is a really great way for me to balance my life as I age and do that. And this is a great way that you can be introduced to doing that and working from the convenience of home and not really fighting the idea of being lonely or anything like that because I have a bigger community than I've ever had that now than I had at the workplace. And there's resilience and perspective. Unretirees are advised to be open to trying something new and be willing to earn less to do something you truly enjoy. That can start that way. I'm investing a lot of time before I can see the return on my investment, but the mindset is essential for the innovative, often mission driven work required for effective climate action. So, we're in the process of building an all inclusive virtual enterprise. This is our robust suite of learning services. We actually offer 3D explainer video services that can explain a lot of things and bring up people to speed. They're really fun. They're like cartoon characters here, and they're really quickly, rapidly producible. We have virtual focus group and strategic planning services that we can offer. There's not one organization, small or large, small enterprise or large enterprise that doesn't need to gain focus because things have shifted. You can't assume that you know what people want and need without engaging them in some meaningful practice, and that can inform your strategic planning. And then there's YouTube programming. This is a YouTube video that I'm producing here for you so you can understand what Johnson is doing over here. And that's channel development. I can do that for myself, but I can also do it for you if you haven't done YouTube. YouTube is the most powerful, still the most powerful communications medium on the planet. There are many millions of people. Just there are two groups that I'm really focusing on: 55 plus and 65 plus demographics that they recognize. Each one has slightly different things. Some 55 plus people are still contemplating going into retirement. 65 plus have gone through some kind of retirement and they're doing some other things. So I have to work with both groups and learn from both. I can't assume I know what anybody understands or believes without asking them what they feel and what they want. And then there are how-to workshops and courses. What I realize is just about every one of these services here, including all of the things that you just saw with my Google Workspace, people need to learn those skills and how to practically apply them to get them where they want to go, want and need to go. And that's what my workshops and how-to workshops and courses will be about. And then there are whole mobilization campaign services. I've now designed this whole suite of services to do a major mobilization campaign. And this can arrive at virtual conferences and trade shows that are very affordable. These are virtual because they're not the cost of the cost prohibitive transportation, the hotel, the per diem costs here. Anybody who has access to the internet, and that's getting better and better with Starlink and all these different applications, can be a part of this. So the process can be way more democratic and more meaningful for a greater group of people that can raise revenue. These are revenue generation events. You know, I really encourage you to talk to me so I can go with this in detail with you. And then there are instructional design services. When people realize the way I'm taking, I'm pushing the envelope. I'm going to a whole nother plateau of learning here in terms of instructional design services because of my television background, because of my marketing background, because of my ethnic studies, teaching, and political science background, and because of my head and heart, and because of my family that is so lovely, and my generations of people whose shoulders I stand upon. And so there's physical world live streaming here. So I'm engaging with people who are doing that because you might say, well, I've already invested in doing my physical world events, but you need to have other people be there. So we're not going to take anything away. We can add value by having remote attendees attend physical world live streaming events. And then we're actually, this should be actually the beginning, but really what we're doing is building global strategic partnerships across the planet. And we go all the way on people's smartphones. We go all the way into people's HD TV sets at home, in office, in boardrooms, in schools, in senior centers, and community centers. The world can be our oyster if we're doing it right. We get our heads and hearts in the right place. So this gets us right back to all those issues that we had talked about before. Um, Navigating this. And I really like the fact that we can bring all these things together. And say, we got to forget all this racism stuff. We got to include everybody. We got to include all ages. We got to deal with our technical challenges as opportunities. We got to deal with our mental health challenges of being alone and overcoming that. Physical health problems. Technology can really help us monitor our hearts and our blood sugar and our exercise and all of that. We can really do some things. We can actually analyze, look at rest, look at identifies anomalies in X-rays through AI and all of that. There's some really positive applications here. There's some dangerous ones here. There's an article that I just came across that you want to read by Altman, Sam Altman, of OpenAI about the policy changes and actually the impact of AI on changing the social contract. Wow. I'll stop here. But this is one of the things that we're going to do a series of critical conversations for a 21st century world about. And so we can have a broader audience, not just the academics, not just the people who read these kind of articles, but other people who need to be touched and have their information, their awareness raised, and their needs represented. So here's what I need you to do here. Here are next steps to do. And the first step is to finish watching this video. You might not, if hopefully you get to this by this time, finish watching this video because I have a lot covered here. And we also need for you to weigh in with your contents. That's below right there on the YouTube player. What did you like? Do you not trust where we're at? How can we build trust? How can we get you to at least communicate with us and let us know what's on your mind? You might have a gripe. You might have a better idea. You might have a business that we could even help co-promote. But weigh in your comments. Could this potentially make a difference in your life as you're navigating your unretired life, or as you know other people that are navigating theirs, or your children or your grandchildren, if you're thinking about, like I am, about, well, what kind of legacy am I going to leave behind? I need to have you weigh in with your own comments so I can learn. And then schedule a free consultation. If you visit my website and go to my Contact Us page, you can schedule a free consultation. We'll spend some time with you, and we want to listen basically what your needs are and how we can help you get there. You might have tried this application or that application. You might be real frustrated. You might have some anxiety here. You might have some big hope. You might have some big dreams here. And we want to really learn about that. So let's connect. This is really, really good. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. If you need to know more and you'd like to communicate with me, you can text or call me at 206-920-8067. You can email me at support@newworldcom.com. I really encourage you to visit New World Communications, newworldcom.com, and and click on my Imani Jones's introduction. She'll give you some stuff on my backstory and how I came up to this place here, and then have me actually give you a tour of some of my services. So it'd be well worth your time to kind of venture through that. And also click on top there where you see what I'm talking about, my virtual conferences and trade show platform that I've developed. So this is a great way for us to really get going here. Take a look at that Sam Altman's article. I'm going to share it with people. I'm sharing it with my friends and family and everybody I know. And say, look, check this out. This is really important. If you're concerned about where AI is going and you really realize, what the threats and what the opportunities might be, this is a good article that has a great grasp of that. So I thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you.